Today I'm testing my very first 4K capture card, which allows you to easily record and stream video signals from external sources such as a gaming PC, game console, or camera. Capture cards for PCs, the PS5, Xbox, or the Switch and the like are typically used to record or stream gaming content in real time. This opens up whole new worlds and possibilities. Even I myself could benefit from such a device, even though I don't plan on using it to record gameplay. Today I'll be taking a look at the ORICO IS6 capture card, which promises 4K 60Hz at the highest video quality. I'll try to put it to the test and see if that's actually true or not. This small device is certainly affordable. On Amazon it can currently be had for about $99. Given the offered features on paper, the pricing sure does seem attractive. Whether it's actually worth it, you'll find out in today's video. I'll also briefly explain how such a capture card is usually connected and how it's set up and configured on the PC to achieve the best possible recordings. I'd like to point out right away that I did encounter a few minor issues myself, most of which I fortunately was able to resolve in the end. Sadly, some flaws of the product itself remain. The scope of delivery is fairly generous in my opinion. In addition to the capture card itself, we also get two 1.5 meter long HDMI cables, a 50 cm USB-C connection cable, and of course the quick start guide. First of all, I'd like to mention the outstanding build quality. The outer shell of the IS6 capture card makes a high quality impression thanks to its robust aluminum body. This of course also contributes to cooling. ORICO claims that 72 hours of continuous recording at 4K is supported without running into any overheating. However, I was not going to subject myself to such a long recording marathon. Obviously, this capture device is extremely compact. All video inputs and outputs support 4K UHD at a refresh rate of 60 Hz. This also applies to the pass-through. Furthermore, there's support for VRR, variable refresh rate, if you enable FreeSync or G-Sync for instance. In terms of connectivity, we are getting the following. We are offered two inputs, one HDMI input as well as one USB-C video input, plus of course an HDMI output or pass-through. Since the capture card offers two inputs, HDMI and USB-C, we can set and toggle between the input source on the fly by flipping a switch. Next comes the USB-C interface, establishing the connection between the capture card and PC for instance. Then there are three 3.5mm audio ports, one microphone input, one headphone output, and one line input. Finally, there's an HDCP key switch, a topic I won't be addressing today. Now let's assume we want to record or stream gaming content from our PC. How do you properly connect a capture card? Step 1. The HDMI port on our graphics card is connected to the HDMI input on the capture card. Step 2. Our monitor is connected to the HDMI output of the capture card. Step 3. We now connect the capture card to another PC or laptop via USB-C. You could also connect to the same PC you game on, but doing so not only makes you lose any advantages the capture card brings to the table, but also makes you consume more system resources, which could potentially lead to lower performance, which usually manifests itself in the form of stuttering or lag. Therefore, it's generally advisable to connect such a capture card to a second PC or laptop to manage the recording and/or stream. However, it should be noted that certain system requirements must be met to actually be able to process the recording, especially at high resolutions such as 4K UHD. According to the manufacturer, we are looking at least an Intel i7 7700HQ quad-core processor with 16GB of RAM and a GTX 1050 Ti graphics card. Furthermore, the capture card must be plugged into a USB port capable of at least 5 gigabit speeds. Optionally, we could also connect headphones or a microphone directly to the capture card, but you could also keep it simple and make use of the audio via HDMI. Now, I did my testing with 3 different systems: my desktop PC, mini PC, and my laptop. The ORICO IS6 is a plug-and-play device, meaning no drivers need to be installed for it in Windows 11. Now, once everything is properly wired up, we can launch software such as OBS on the PC and configure the capture card. We set the resolution and frame rate and ensure they match for the actual recording in OBS. You could also play around and adjust the quality settings to suit your needs. Unfortunately, with my PC configuration, I discovered that OBS doesn't exactly deliver the best recordings and introduces minimal stuttering into the recordings. This is a problem that's not new to me in OBS, which is why I have a fairly complicated relationship with that piece of software. I was able to achieve much better, smoother recordings using the Vegas Capture tool within Vegas Pro, the video editing software. Unfortunately, that's a paid option, it costs money and isn't exactly cheap either. But hey, that's my problem. Test number 1. A 4K recording using OBS featuring the HDMI audio track. The video recording quality is truly excellent. However, slight stuttering creeps in almost constantly. The recording simply cannot be considered smooth. Furthermore, the HDMI audio track is anything but clean and suffers from severe noise. Test number 2. A 4K recording using Vegas Capture featuring the HDMI audio track. The video quality has now decreased ever so slightly, but the recording is noticeably smoother. However, the HDMI audio track has, in my opinion, deteriorated considerably. Test number 3. If we now bypass the HDMI audio input and instead opt to use the 3.5mm audio input, the audio track becomes virtually unusable. It doesn't matter whether the recording is done via OBS or Vegas Capture. So it's obvious that the ORICO IS6 simply does not produce clean and usable audio for our recordings, unless of course the noise doesn't bother you for some reason. Test number 4. Now we'll go ahead and reduce the resolution. This is the 1440p recording via OBS. Now even OBS manages to produce a beautifully smooth recording, so my PC seems to be able to handle that fairly well. The result is excellent. Even when recording via Vegas Capture, we get a nice result, albeit the result is definitely better using OBS this time around. Test number 5. We lower the resolution further to Full HD 1080p. Both OBS and Vegas Capture produce beautiful, smooth recordings. So 1080p and 1440p represent the sweet spot for most PCs, even those high-performance ones. 4K UHD recordings obviously are quite taxing and require a very powerful machine if you want the end result to be 100% smooth. Test number 6. If I now want to record from my PC that has a 144Hz monitor connected to it, the refresh rate within Windows will automatically be reduced to 60Hz, since the ORICO IS6 capture card can only handle a maximum of 60Hz. If we now fire up more action-loaded game titles, the IS6 keeps up well, producing consistently beautiful recordings. Admittedly, with my PC hardware, these were only achievable for me at 4K UHD using Vegas Capture and not OBS. Obviously, some detail is lost due to the lower bitrate to ensure a smooth recording. I'm happy to accept that in this case, if it actually means the recordings end up being usable and don't have constant stuttering in them. But that's a problem with the hardware requirements in OBS and similar software. Capture cards are generally not to blame for this. First and foremost, as a hardware reviewer, it's important to me that I can achieve decent recordings with such a device outside of Windows or games. For instance, recordings of the UEFI BIOS. Before, I could only record something like that with a camera pointed directly at the screen like a caveman. Now I can simply intercept the HDMI video signal and record it, if you will. I find that very convenient. Of course, I'd like to emphasize once again that you have to adjust the recording resolution according to your respective PC hardware setup. For instance, if I were to start a 4K UHD recording with my aging mid-range laptop, even the Vegas capture tool wouldn't be able to completely make up for it and rescue my recording. It simply has some stuttering in it from time to time. However, if I lower the recording resolution to a much more realistic 1080p for that specific laptop, while sticking with 4K UHD on the gaming PC itself, I get a nice, clean and smooth recording. The source's resolution is irrelevant here. It's all about the resolution at which we ultimately record in from the capture card. I hope I've brought my point across well enough without confusing you. Conclusion. The ORICO IS6 impressed me, but did not entirely manage to convince me because it unfortunately has one major weakness. While the video quality is truly excellent, as far as I can tell at least, the same cannot be said about the audio quality. It's terrible. It doesn't even matter if we are talking of HDMI audio or the 3.5mm input. So anyone who relies on good usable audio for their recordings should avoid today's capture card. Still, since I personally don't need the audio track for my use cases, the ORICO IS6 is truly perfect for me. The price is quite reasonable too. Anyone primarily looking for good video recording quality in a capture card cannot go wrong with the ORICO IS6. I can recommend it. However, if you want a full experience, including a usable audio track, stay away from it. What are your thoughts on capture cards? Would you have a use case for one? As always, I'd greatly appreciate a like, but of course, it wouldn't be the end of the world for me if you left a dislike instead. With that in mind, thank you all for watching, and until the next one.